Hi, everybody. My name is Nanika Edwards. I'm a poet, author, artist, linguist, and educator from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And in this video, I'm sharing with you some of the things that I do to manage my mental well-being and to deal with any mental health challenges that that come prepackaged with being an artist, right? So I'm not going to get too much into my own personal, story, at least not yet. Maybe at some point in the future I would, but not right now. But I would like to share you some of the things that worked for me, right? So number 3, following art pages that I find refreshing. So if anybody were to check out my Instagram page, it's nanika.edwards, all lowercase. So that's double N-E-K-A. I'll say that again. Double N as in nutmeg, 2 N's, E-K-A dot Edwards with an S on the end, nanika.edwards, all lowercase. If you check me out on Instagram and you check the pages that I'm following, you would see all of the art pages that I follow. And by the way, I'm one of those, maybe I'm a little quirky, especially about Instagram. Like I try to follow pages that are visually appealing or well put together. There might be a couple that don't fit that description, but most of the pages that I follow are just visually appealing. And a lot of the pages that I follow are artist pages. And I tend to follow artists most times who have a fairly playful style. And so, of course, because I'm on Instagram so often, if I'm scrolling through my feed, I would see a lot of that artwork, right? And for me, it's just uplifting because, the things that the eyes are one of the gateways to the soul, right? So the eyes, ears, nose, if you sniff drugs and that kind of thing, mouth, if all whatever allows something to get into your soul or into your body that could affect your soul, whatever channel or entry point they come into us through is a gateway to the soul, right? So I'm very careful about that. I guard the gateways to my soul. And one of the ways I do that is by being careful about what I look at. And one of the things I do, like I mentioned before, is I look at I follow a lot of artists with a refreshing style most times, an interesting, refreshing style. And I do it partly so that I can study how other people do their art, but it's also because I know that kind of art would make me feel good. So that's the other thing. If you go to my page, like I mentioned, and you just check who I'm following, you would be able to see some of those pages. You might also like following my page because my page is also designed to feel therapeutic. I mean, I would just like to know that if somebody goes to my Instagram page and they scroll through, that it would just make them feel good. I'm very careful about the colors that I choose, the way that I organize the content, the way that I lay things out and display things. My page is part of that, but obviously my page doesn't really do anything for me because I already know how I do stuff, right? But when I go to somebody else's page and there's a wonderful surprise or something like that, then I love that. There's a guy that I follow, I think he's called Paul Delaney. The interesting thing about his art is he combines art with comedy a lot of the times. Like he does these art pieces where he's playing around with puns and so on and working them into his artwork, not in terms of text, but in terms of how he interprets things. I really like him. And I mean, his art, his sense of humor, his quirkiness, they just really make me feel good. And the nice thing about him is he's very responsive. He seems like a nice guy. So I like following him, for example. And there are many other people that I follow, like Terry Runyon. She's a retired Hallmark artist. If you're from a younger generation, you may not know about Hallmark, but I grew up on Hallmark, like greeting cards, the biggest greeting card company in the West, probably at one point. And Terry is another person who's very responsive. You know, you can send her a note. She would be very warm in how she responds and so on. I really like Terry as well, and I love her art style. She's kind of quirky, but then I guess artists tend to be quirky. You know, she's got a cat. I don't want to say fetish. I don't know if fetish is the right word for that, but she loves cats. You see a lot of cats in her artwork. I don't like cats, but I love her artwork, so I follow her art. I follow her page, and but many other, many, many, many. I think most of the people that I follow on Instagram are artists. So looking at beautiful art or looking at playful art doesn't have to be playful, but just something beautiful and visually refreshing is what I would tend to go for. So that's the other way that I manage my mental well-being. So I hope you found that helpful. Do you do something like that? Have you ever done something like that? And does it work for you? Would you be willing to try it? What kinds of things do you follow on social media? You know, I would love to know. And yeah, you know, I think that yeah, let me leave it right there. I'll leave it right there. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.